Gerald, what do you think of my thesis that actually the world will be at war by the weekend? How are you feeling about that?
Well, the world's at war already. World War III began. It was a cover of our Trends Journal magazine on February 22nd, 2022. From COVID war to Ukraine war to World War. And it's only escalating now with the Israel war. And I was listening to you before we went on the air, and you nailed it perfectly. And by the way, I also want to congratulate you for all that you do as a real man, standing up and fighting and being in the British Parliament now and speaking the truth.
Thank you.
And as you were saying, when you said what was going on in Israel and giving them the history of it, you said it was like talking to little kids. And that's where we're at now. And you talked about Iran. This is one of my books called Trend Tracking, far better than Megatrends Time magazine. 1989, I wrote this book. I write how I became a trend forecaster. And I became a political atheist when, and it's right here, the fall of the Shah. I was the chief government affairs specialist for the chemical industry, number 2 guy running a major trade association. Back then, all I wanted to do was make money and have a good time. I was killing environmental legislation at the height of the environmental movement. And I'm living between DC and Chicago. And the Iranian conflict starts heating up. And Jimmy Carter, the little peanut farmer with a pair of cojones about the size of a peanut, he goes over there to visit the Shah on New Year's Eve with the Shah and his wife. I write about this in detail. He came back and he said that the Shah is the island of stability in the Middle East. In the Bronx, we used to say bullshit has its own sound. I'm seeing millions of people taking to the streets. The average person, like the little dopes you speak to in Parliament, these little boys and gutless girls, they had no idea of the United States, and as you were talking about, the UK overthrow of the democratically elected government of Mossadegh in 1953, because that lousy Iranian president had the nerve to say, no, this oil doesn't belong to Anglo-Iranian oil or Standard Oil. Oh, better known today as BP and, it's ExxonMobil back then, Standard Oil today. It belongs to the Iranian people. No, it doesn't. And all the data came out. It only took until 2017 for the crap that spewed out of that little Churchill's mouth. The MI6, him, and the CIA that was also headed by Kermit Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt's grandson, to overthrow Mossadegh. So when the people are taking to the streets, I said, no, this thing is for real. And that's how I became a trend forecaster. I became a political atheist, and I stopped believing the BS in the mainstream media, and I started investing in gold and oil. That's when I became a trend forecaster. I said, what will the implications be? And gold and oil, a $10,000 bet, I made almost $750,000. And I quit my job and I became a trend forecaster. I lost a lot of the dough. I was, gambling away. But now what's going on is the same thing. All they're doing is teaching us how to hate Iran. You're seeing all the sanctions, the crap, the puke coming out of the mouth of the politicians. We're condemning Iran for attacking Israel. Hey, wait a minute. Israel could attack Iran anytime they want. They could attack a consulate that's against international law, even in a time of war. They could kill any commander. They could kill anybody they want anywhere. That's right. We're the chosen people. Oh, it says so right in the Torah. Chapter 6, section 8. You're making up this crap. Now they're putting sanctions on Iran. This thing is heating up. Israel is going to strike back. When they do, World War III is going to continue to escalate. If we don't have peace on earth, we are going to be annihilated in nuclear war. Oh, don't believe me? Look up the Samson option. Oh, yeah, in Israel, Samson option, if we lose, we go nuclear. And we only have about between 200 and 400 nuclear warheads. Oh, you don't have nuclear warheads? That's right. But Iran's not allowed to have them. We're the chosen people. This is serious.
It's deadly serious, Gerald. And sometimes I think there's only thee and me can see it. I've been following your coverage online, and I'm a big supporter of your journal. And I'm just wondering how it is that the United States, I mean, I'll come to the UK in a minute, but how did the United States walk quietly into a situation where virtually every politician is literally bought and paid for by the supporters of Israel? And I'm talking people who wouldn't be a legend in their own street. I'm talking people whose faces I've never seen, whose names I've never heard. They're the congresswoman or man from this or that, and they're receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars from a foreign country, which doesn't even have to register as a foreign agent, such that your country is no longer in control of its own destiny. How does Joe Biden tell Netanyahu to go and get lost when Israel gave him $11.1 million? How?
He doesn't. Again, the whole thing is bought off, and you're making it perfectly clear that nobody knows about AIPAC, foreign establishment, and they're doing anything that they want. They're buying off everybody. America, this is the country that kills people all over the world in the name of freedom and democracy. To run for office in America, you got to have a lot of money behind you. By the way, I began my career running political campaigns in Westchester County, the richest county in America. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate, designed and instructed American politics and campaign technology, how to run campaigns, taught it at St. John's University. What people call a government is nothing more than a crime syndicate. And I also, by the way, I watched your podcast with your show with Scott Ritter on following Iran's attack. All of the media in America and all of the little imbeciles that follow the mainstream media believe that Israel was victorious in stopping Iran when they attacked, knowing nothing of the facts. Everybody should listen to that podcast that you did with Scott Ritter and how you introduced him and who he is. And he's a friend of mine. We go out to dinner. He's talked at my peace rallies up here. I launched Occupy Peace over a decade ago. He gives the details, but here was the headlines that the people swallow. Iran has launched dozens of drones at Israel. IDF says it aims to intercept them in hours. And then they said 99% of them were destroyed. And again, have no details about the facts of this. So everybody, please watch that video. Scott Ritter makes it clear of the true danger Israel is in. And also, Mr. Galloway, you were talking about how they created, when I heard some of it before I came on the air, about how they invented the State of Israel. This is your Trends Journal when it used to be a quarterly, 2006, Crusades 2000. Regardless of what England's reasons or intentions were, self-serving or otherwise, Crusades 2000 was set in motion by the 1917 Balfour Declaration. Oh, what's a Balfour Declaration? Well, we don't know anything, but a Balfour Declaration that laid the foundation for Israel, quote, His Majesty's government, His Majesty's government, these murderous bastards over there where the sun never sets on the British Empire, we are slaughtering people all over the world. Oh, that's right, His Majesty's government. His Majesty's government views with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. Who the hell is he to say that they should establish a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine? Oh, the Rothschilds. Look it up. It's a fact. It goes on. And we will use our best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this objective. Totally invented. Totally invented. Have no right being there. Oh, and they just stole about another 7,000 acres of Palestinian land in the West Bank that they call settlements in violation of the Geneva Convention and Article 242 of the United Nations. This is serious what's going on. This is a demonic government in charge,
very
slaughtering
serious.
innocent people.
Yeah, slaughtering 72% of the people who've been slaughtered were women and children. Ipso facto, by definition, not Hamas. The idea that these women and children were legitimate targets would not be accepted in any other theater of conflict. It would not be accepted as legitimate behavior by any other government anywhere in the world, including your government, including my government. But it is somehow acceptable for Israel to do it. And when they can no longer defend it, they simply begin not to report it. So 11 children were killed yesterday in a playground in the Benghazi refugee camp in Gaza. 11 children. Not one single British newspaper or British media outfit even reported that it happened. Talk about exceptionalism, Gerald.
Actually, at least, yep. And matter of fact, you know who did report it in the United States was the Cartoon News Network, CNN. And it said at least 13 people were killed, including several children, and more than 25 injured after a strike targeted the Al-Maghazi refugee camp. And they show the graphics, the videos, and this is the nice language. You ready? Dozens of people appear to be running around in panic. They had a video, screaming and trying to count and carry the dead bodies. It shows several casualties scattered on the floor, including children with blood streaming across the floor. Kids screaming, people screaming, kids dead on the ground. They were just playing football and they were martyred. This guy's, again, right in front of everybody's eyes. Like you said, could you imagine if it was the Jewish people in Gaza and the Palestinians were bombing them to death like this? Oh my God, how terrible. The hypocrisy.
It's very difficult to bear. It's very, it's very difficult to remain unemotional about it.